Hello, everybody. Wanted to come on live to talk about this energy because it is very special. And potent for us all. I just had a sneezing fit before I came on here. So I'm going to just wait for some people to come onto the chat. And I know that we are just about to have a Mercury retrograde in the next day or so. So technology's been interesting. Yet this is an interesting Mercury retrograde as well. So I wanted to chit chat about some of it and pull a couple cards for us all for the new moon in Sagittarius. And I love Sagittarius energy. Most of us do. It is the energy of exploration and we just kind of want to explore life. We also are exploring our emotions, and definitely, especially with Mercury in Capricorn about to go retrograde, exploring our beliefs, what we have believed, what we thought was true. There's a lot of conflicting energy as well that we're currently experiencing and will be through this new moon, because as much as there's this potent and rush of adrenaline, like the need to like either get something off of your chest or just explore something, we also have conflicting energy that brings us into the unknown and the scary, facing our fears. And Neptune is squaring this new moon, as well as Saturn. So there's a potential to want to have urges to escape your feelings. Hello, Granny Paula. Just talking about the energy and the new moon and how spiritual this time is, and this energy especially is extremely spiritual. Sagittarius is very spiritual, as well as Pisces, with Neptune and Pisces. And it is very, it's got a lot of us exploring. New moon, yes. And can you feel the potency? It's actually very etheric, and the sky has been incredible. The energy itself is amazing, especially if you can tap into it. Now that I was talking about the polarity of it is also when we get because Sagittarius and Jupiter's in the mix, and Jupiter's the ruler of Sagittarius. When that energy is potent, it is also spiritual. It is explorative. We're ready to explore. We're also expanding our mind, our consciousness, our awareness, and it's can take you into the higher realms. And then you can feel a little nervous because there's a lot of the unknown, and so those fears creep up. And so staying grounded is important, especially in this energy. And then of course we have Mercury retrograde, so that's all this on the outside, possibly some wacky, weird things going on. But on the inside, it really is, we're exploring our thoughts and our beliefs a lot more. And Mercury will be retrograde until January, I forget. Boots on the ground, exactly. Exactly. but it is big picture thinking. And it's also very optimistic. The Sagittarius energy is very optimistic. So stay on that side of it, and we'll be riding it pretty high and not floaty. That's not the word I want to use, but just high awareness. Then adding Mercury in a sextile to Venus, and I've been experiencing this, especially lately. There's this urge, this need to have these deeper conversations and lively conversations as well. So not just conversations, but even our thoughts, they go deeper, but they're also just more like expansive. I know for myself it's been that way. We're also doing a lot of reflecting on the past, reflecting on our past relationships. And it's also a great energy to, and the urge, the need to collaborate with others more, especially when it comes to connections, important connections, heart-centered connections. There's something I wrote the other day. And so the interesting thing about this energy, especially for me, I did a lot of really deep, in-depth work on myself. Oh my, yes, past reflections. Yeah, they're big. Not even just in waking time, but in dreams too. I did a lot of parts work based off of a book that I was talking about in my last live. And it's called No Bad Parts, and it is an amazing book. I did want to touch on that book a little bit more, and I'm just going to say it here because I was really not pushing the book, but and it is an amazing book. The author is a doctor, and he is seeing the connection of the spiritual, yet he hasn't dove into that aspect. So as I'm reading the book and I'm doing my own parts work, which is just getting in touch with all of the different parts within me, I saw it in a whole nother, like, complete and utter spiritual sense. And I wrote this down because this was the first thing that came to my vision was, you know, those Russian dolls? Those dolls, the wooden dolls, like you open the one and then there's a smaller one, you open that and there's a smaller one and a smaller one and a smaller one until you get all the way to the very last doll, and it's one solid tiny little doll. That tiny little doll is reflective of our true soul self, which is also the inner child, because we leave that true soul self to some degree. We branch out into all these parts as we, you know, grow up and move in life. So I wrote Russian dolls, layers and layers of veneers to eventually get to our true self. So it's like peeling back the layers, right? Soul to our true self, the soul incarnated, the innocent child connected to light, to the light that we forgot about. So if you think about it, if you think about the essence of you, the essence of us, it is pure. It is pure. It is pure light. It is also very sensitive and innocent. And so we have developed all these protector parts and managers and rescuers within ourselves to protect this innocence, this super, super sensitive, true soul self. And that's how we kind of have all these different personalities. We are multidimensional, but we all like, and the guy who wrote the book actually said multiple personality disorder isn't even a disorder. We're all multiple personalities. But those with the multiple personality disorders just have very strong parts that have a hard time telling each other apart. Like, we're more blended usually, but sometimes we do, one part really takes a strong hold of us for however long. You know, sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's a year, depending on what we're experiencing and who we're involved in it with and what we're doing. So anyway, I spent my whole weekend really diving deep into those parts and finding where the wounds were, that where like you get in touch doing the parts work, you get in touch with the protector parts. Like a protector part could simply be the part in you that shuts down and doesn't actually speak its truth. Because as a child, this is an example of mine. As a child, when I spoke my truth, I would be punished. And being punished was like having a bar of soap put in my mouth. That kind of punishment, you know? So you shut that down. And so we develop these other aspects of ourselves that protect that sensitive, pure part of ourselves. So once we get in touch with those protector parts, and then we have managers that are usually our inner critic, also the one that's telling you what you should do and what you should look like and all of those things. It's a really fascinating journey inward. But you can really get in touch with those parts and let them know that you've got this now, because those parts unconsciously think that you are still that age, the age of whatever wound or trauma or event that they had to take over to protect you in the first place. And some people's protector parts are very harmful to themselves and to others. And we have rescuers too within ourselves. In the book, he calls them firefighters. Those are the parts of ourselves that rescue us from having to really re-experience the trauma. It could be a part of you that has formed some form of addiction, alcohol, or a way of escape. And it's important to thank that part. It was doing its job to protect you from actually re-feeling and re-experiencing this trauma. But when you can dialogue with those parts and understand them better, and it is like spirits within yourself. I was actually seeing different faces and spirits of these parts within me. But when you can dialogue with them and let them know that they can trust you, now I've got this, to let this soul self, this sensitive part, because that's your power, our sensitivity and our innocence, our inner child is the power within ourselves. It is the part that's curious about life. It is the part of us it is the Sagittarius energy that's curious and adventurous and wants to have fun, wants to see all the color and the beauty and the joy in life, and is just, that is when we really start to feel that spiritual essence in life. And I think that we've all had those experiences, but if you're interested now, Martin, he's not on here today, but he mentioned that this book is also, hi Patsy, this book is also available in audio form. And I think he said there was one on YouTube. It's, I'll get it. No Bad Parts by Richard Swartz. It's an amazing journey inward, and it can be life-changing for many. I just know it. So I experienced some of my parts, and they're also very sensitive to a lot of the energies that are going on right now. Because I had that up and down sensation today. Up, yay, I can't wait to see what kind of adventure life is going to throw at me. And then it wasn't like I was down sad, but I got hit with like this wall of being extremely tired. Yes, no bad parts. And you know, it really helps you also if you carry any guilt or shame inside. It's one of your parts, and it's important to really get in touch with it and thank it for protecting you. It's a protector, and it really helps relieve the soul and ourselves of a lot of the behavior, a lot of the things that we've done in the past that all of us have had things that we regret, or we're not proud of, but it is the past, and it's important to leave that in the past and know that there's lessons to be learned from that, right? There's growth and there's wisdom there too. My energy is so low today. Yeah, well, I experienced that like midway through the day. And I think I know why. Because I was trying to get too, like, using this energy that I started off my day with to my benefit. So I wanted to actually get my grandson a Christmas present, which I ended up doing. I did do some Christmas shopping today after I did some computer work. So I really kind of gave myself an extra dose of energy I really didn't need to absorb all at once. But yeah, after that, I just was like, oh. I walked out of the store and I could barely see. Everything was fuzzy and blurry and my ears were ringing, and I'm like, oh, there's just too much going on. I need to like clear this out. And I wanted to go for a walk outside, and I had no energy to even do that. I had like a mania followed by exhaustion when I should have rested all day. Oh yeah, it was your day off. Well, that's kind of like what I had. I had the mania. Well, it wasn't really like a mania, but I just had a lot of energy, and I was just going. And it felt really great. And then once I did the Christmas shopping thing, I knew I was pushing it, but at least I got that out of the way. I hit a wall, and and then I got home, and this was the interesting part. When I got home, I made myself something to eat because I didn't eat. And it was chicken. And this is what triggered me. It was chicken, and I cooked it as long as I was supposed to cook, and I made like this wrap. And I took a bite of it and swallowed it, and then I looked at it, and it was like raw inside. And I'm like, oh my God, did I just poison myself? And I got really mad. So I got really mad at myself for not, I don't know, whatever, food poisoning myself. And after that, then I went into all these different emotions. I started to feel really sad then too. I redid my resume and wrote a cover letter, all to send for a job I am super unqualified for, but felt like just doing it because nothing to lose. That's right. Well, you know what? You never know. I mean, hell, most of the things that my gut told me to go for, there was a part in me that says, you're not qualified for this. Who do you think you are to do this? But my intuition or my gut was saying, just do it. And then I would usually get it. And then I would panic like, oh my God. But you know what? As soon as you jump in, it actually is meant for you. I've had so many experiences like that in my life. So that's another good way to get to know all your parts. Yeah, then I went from getting mad, then I like just sort of sat, and I wanted to do readings. I bought new Palo Santo and a new candle, and I got all my like energy right, and something was just like, no, not yet. And I laid down. And when I laid down, I just had this immense sadness. And in my past, and it really could be still linked to not my energy, because there were other people that were then coming into my awareness and my sensations when I was laying down, and I felt really sad, and I suddenly felt really alone. And I just sat with that and really dove into what is this? Why am I feeling this way? And almost as soon as I asked that question, I had a vivid memory of something that happened in the past that was sad, that I may not have visited deeply enough. I may have like skirted by it like, okay, there's nothing I can do about that. It is what it is kind of attitude. But the energy was like, no, I want you to look at this again. How does that feel? Truthfully, how did that make you feel? Not the part of yourself that wants to sugarcoat it and it's hard when you see everything from the bigger picture, because I understand that everybody's going through their own stuff, but I still had to like take in account what I had experienced and what impact that had on me, because little did I know these experiences with other people did impact me. Like the energy stayed with me. And so it was kind of a release of that. It was a mini 5-10 minutes mini release. And then all the energy was released from me, and I did the 2 zodiac readings and laid down again. Laid down again because I got also really excited because I got these blank tarot cards. They just came in today. And I had a lot of things that I wanted to put on these cards. And when I got the package, suddenly my mind went blank. I'm like, I guess this is not the time to play around with the blank tarot cards. So now we're just doing live. So here we are. That's my day. But yeah. And that could be the Neptune and Saturn energy where, no, actually I wasn't, my body, there was a part of me that wanted to shut down emotionally. There was a part of me that tried to turn on my TV and it wouldn't turn on. I was like, okay, I'm not going to escape from this. I'll sit with this. And then I went in. But yeah, I have an escapee, a rescuer too, and it likes to distract myself from my feelings. We all do. We all have that. But did you send the resume? I'm curious. Ooh, suddenly got hot. I want to do a collective reading for us for this new moon too. I wanted to do this on the new moon tomorrow, but it was calling me. I couldn't get away from doing readings. Even when I was in my car earlier, it just kept, I was like, almost like I can't wait to do readings. So whenever I get that energy, I get excited and happy because I love to do readings, but I know that it's not always a good time for me to do readings, especially if I'm processing my own stuff. That's not a good time to do readings. I'm super thirsty, so bear with me here. How's everybody else doing? And you might find that your energies will fluctuate big time. There's a lot of other interesting things that are going on. I mean, that's just the main planetary transits. There's some star system things that are happening. Sun is still very active. And like I said, the sky has been amazing. And if it's not vibrant in color, the cloud formations are wild. Just I can't stop looking at the sky. And then we have these fluctuations in temperature where it was like 60 some degrees yesterday, and then it dropped down in the middle of the night and we got a bad rainstorm and ice. And yeah, it's just like the weather and the temperatures are going up and down, just like our energies go up and down and up and down. What else have I noticed? A lot of synchronicities. A lot of number syncs, for sure. I felt like challenging someone to see if they would call in a candidate for interview, not based on resume, but more the person. We'll see, I don't know. Just got in that mood today. Good. Total gamble. Total weather roller coaster. Yeah. And we're also detoxing a lot of stuff from our bodies too. At nighttime, I don't know. I woke up with a pimple on my chin. I don't ever get acne, but that is like my body is detoxing things for sure. My sister last night, they had a leak, a mystery leak that they still, I think, are trying to figure out where it came from. And then their dog was up all night long, just pacing the floor over and over and over and over and over and over again. And my cat, around the same time, she was meowing at me. I mean, we were talking about this morning, but she was meowing at me probably around the same time that Kylie started pacing. And so I got up and let her out. It was like 10:30 at night. And I'm like, it's raining really hard, Luna. And she went out and she like disappeared for a couple hours. And then came back in around midnight, snuggled up. Same here in Texas, weather roller coaster. Yeah. Yeah, didn't Texas, who got hit with, it wasn't Texas. There were tornadoes. That was the interesting thing too. Another good friend of mine called me Saturday night, or was it last night? Now see, my days are all blending together too. Either last night or the night before, and we were talking about dreams of tornadoes. And I used to have recurring dreams of tornadoes, very intense dreams of tornadoes, and they would go in periods of like months at a time, and then they would stop for a couple years, and then they would come back. And I knew it was like a warning for me. But she has the same thing. And we were talking about these tornadoes, and all of a sudden I woke up the next day and I see that these giant tornadoes hit Tennessee. Yeah, somewhere like, yeah. So that was interesting. That was really interesting. I don't know if we were predicting something or what. We were just talking about our dreams, but just interesting time. And this is what I really, that was another thing that it excites me, the telepathy. I was at the store looking for something for my grandson. And I'm taking pictures of all these things and sending them to my daughter-in-law. And we're kind of back and forth. And all of a sudden my eyes meet up with this. My grandson's too. He loves magnets. And it's like this thing you can build with magnets for like 2 or 3 year olds. And I was like, I took a picture of it and sent it. And just as I sent it, she was like, I was just going to tell you, Clay loves those magnet towers. And I was like, yes. So we're like on the same, like, as I'm taking a picture, she's trying to text to me this exact same thing that I'm looking at. That was fun. Big tornado in Tennessee. So scary. Yes. It's wild. And they got snow in the mountains where my mom lives in Virginia, and like not West Virginia, but Western Virginia mountains. They got a bunch of snow. Just a wild weather pattern came through for sure. But I love the telepathic communications. I love that I'm looking at something and it pops into my daughter-in-law's mind's eye. And she gets blown away every time it happens. She's like, whoa. And I'm like, we're connected. We're connected. So be mindful what you think. Be mindful what you think about me. Makes sense though. We are all connected that way. It's just so the lines of that kind of communication are very clear and very strong right now. So you might not even know it, but you can test it out with like your closest people, your relatives or friends. All right. Let me fill my water up first before I get into the cards. Sorry, I'm drinking a lot of water. Okay. So, Trying to think of anything else interesting. I had a pretty quiet weekend, other than because I was doing my parts work on myself. Because it's always good to do, but also, put this down here more. It's good to do on yourself, but also, there's services that I'm doing with other people right now, and so it's I feel like I'm going to be much better at being that channel of that the pure essence energy to really help them guide people through those things. All right. Message for us all. Okay. So our relationships. Okay. I like this message. Our relationships to others, those that we are really deeply connected to from the heart, Two of Cups, is going through a shift and a change right now. And things may not seem complete. It's as we go through this cycle change, and our awareness, our beliefs, our thoughts about ourselves and the other people are changing. It's a work in progress, but as we are going through this change, this is also some downtime, a time for us to rest and really go within. And this is probably why we're tired. You know, sometimes we get tired because it is a time to go within and contemplate and, you know, those cycles that we go on. Now, it's weird to go through cycles where you're like up and then it's like crash back down. But yeah, overall, that cycle is going to bring us to the next phase of connecting and relating to each other, where we're more open and truthful and really feel like at home, like brother and sister with each other, and not really fearing being open about ourselves, our feelings, our parts. You know, sometimes when we're with somebody that we really love and care about, some of us have a really difficult time, especially if the other person's going through something or going through a hard time or going through a phase. Let's just say a phase. It's hard to be really truthful and honest because you know what you have to say is probably going to make them feel bad or hurt, or at least we think that. But that's what's changing also, is to be able to be truthful and honest, but like from the heart. So it's with that energy. So it's not like accusing somebody or pointing to somebody like, you're getting on my nerves. You know, I mean, like, to be more truthful about how it impacts our energy, and also that we can work together in the sense of strengths and weaknesses. So knowing each other's triggers, knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses, so that we can like work together, like have that nice flow. So I've got you, you've got me, and nobody's carrying anybody else, you know? I have been in solitude for 3 years. I need a change. I agree. Full circle. Yes. I'm not a huge fan of long-term solitary. I understand it. I go through phases of that. It usually starts off with me needing to be alone, and I know it, I hear it, I'm like, I need some alone time. But then that alone time gets extended, and it's like you get restless, like, where's everybody? What's everybody? What? Something's got to change. But then you also, if you do kind of venture out, you don't feel quite like you fit in or comfortable, because you're still going through this metamorphosis, and you're still very sensitive and vulnerable and not fully aware of your energetic change. Like, our energy's changing, our energy bodies, our bodies are changing, our perceptions are changing. And if you're with people all the time, you don't really give yourself that time to grow and evolve and change. The body knows. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I was just doing a little bit of somatic work right before I came on here, which is just like, you gotta like move your parts, shake your energy out, and shake I like to do that when I do energy work. I gotta like really like clear my energy. I have some interesting things that I do. Here's my circle. But I see that this is changing. So as we change, so are other people. And I've noticed, especially over the last month, for myself personally, it's not that, and I've witnessed these cycles my whole life. I have people in my life that have been in my life for like ever. And we'll like go a whole year without talking or seeing each other. Not intentionally, it's just how life takes us. But as soon as we get back together, it's like no time has passed. But each time we get back together, we both have changed a bit, like, but in a good way, if that makes sense. You're actually okay with it now. Qigong, yes, that's a great way. I did a class with my mom. That was a couple years ago now, but that was an interesting class for sure. And I've been reading up again on psychosomatics, which is a little bit different. That is understanding what the body's saying through different, so say like my shoulder hurts, but the shoulder is like holding the weight or the burden of what I'm energetically carrying, those kinds of things. And that's really fascinating and interesting too. Let's get another message. But as we change, others are changing too. What was I saying? I noticed that there were kind of new people that came into my life a few years ago, and then we sort of evolved out of each other's life. Because life takes us in different directions and stuff. I see sneak peeks of them every now and then peeking in. Hi, Paige, how are you? And then they peek back out. And I'm like, oh, this person might be coming back into my life soon, like for another adventure or experience. Yeah, the weight of the world. I don't carry the weight of the world around anymore, but I used to. It used to feel like it anyway. It certainly does. But back to our parts and this book. Our parts, especially the protector parts, they carry a burden, which is why they have such, some are intense responses, some are very subtle and you wouldn't even realize it or recognize it. Like, say you're in a conversation with somebody, or like you're just somewhere and all of a sudden you're just like yawning and you're tired and you're like, I just don't even want to be here anymore. That's a protector part that's like trying to take you away from a conversation that could be triggering to a sensitive part within you. My body has gone through enough. Yes, energy and vibes. And some people have not changed or grown, and it's harder and harder to engage. Well, and that's another indicator too, that we grow and evolve away from people, and we have to be okay with that. And it is hard. It is hard because as we grow and mature and evolve, we want our loved ones and others to go with us so that we can relate, so we can resonate. When you're with resonance is so important. And so knowing your energy and knowing what resonates with your energy is super important. And I think we all know this. And when you're with someone who is not in resonance with your energy, you feel it everywhere. You feel it. It's almost, nowadays, it's almost agonizing to be in the company of others who are not in resonance at all. It is very polarizing. I gotta let my cat in. Hold on a second. Hi. Yeah, it kills you inside. It really does. Because you know what it is? And it's funny because I did this as a Facebook post a couple weeks ago. It is very uncomfortable, to say the least, to be somebody that you're not. And it seems as though to be in the company of certain people, we almost have to put on an act or not be our true selves. And that was okay in the past, but in this energy, it's like, universe is like, no, you cannot do that anymore. So you're either going to be really truthful and honest with this person, or you're going to part ways and, say, love them, blow them a kiss from afar, Kissy Luna. She is so vocal lately. I mean, she's usually a vocal cat anyway, but she has been really lovey-dovey and just, she's talking to me like, wah, 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 wah. Wasn't allowed to be myself, so I kept private at the workplace. Yes. We've all done that. And I reflect back now how detrimental that was. It took a physical toll on myself. Really, truly did. But I also found that being in a relationship, being in a marriage, where suddenly, it seemed like overnight, suddenly the other person just isn't hearing me, doesn't get me, and I'm really just being all of me, and I'm suddenly not only feeling judged, but feeling judged and criticized. Oh, thank you, Paula. Just got a notification. But feeling very lonely and I felt like I was in captivity suddenly, where in the past it didn't matter. Like, okay, we're not going to agree. I'm going to do my thing. You do yours, and we'll just live under the same roof. No, it was like I couldn't energetically or physically be in that. And the more I was myself, the more it made him angry. And I realized, oh, you don't know me at all. I know I'm changing, but I'm actually, what's changing is the facade of veneer is coming off. One of those Russian dolls has come off, It took me a while to come out of my shell. Oh, dang, exactly, Paige. Yeah, and it felt very amazing to have that veneer released and empowering to be like, this is me. And if you don't like me, I'm sorry to say that this is not going to work. This is not going to fly at all. And that's when I suddenly realized that I felt more like a possession or like some kind of, show pony or something than an actual human being in person. They didn't like me. Yeah, they didn't like me, the real me. Yep. But that's how you learn. And then you realize like, oh, wow, I was not being me. Like, I didn't even know I wasn't being me. That's how bad it was. When we have that veneer on, we actually morph into it and we think that's who we are. It's so wild. It's so wild. but it's so freeing and liberating. And like I look around at like my life now and I'm like, thank God. It was hard. It was more than hard. It was very hard and scary and challenging to go off on my own and become myself. But the people who really knew me, like my family and my sisters and everybody, they were so supportive, and I am so grateful to have that. But even if you don't have that, the liberating feeling of just, this is me, and if you don't like me, bye-bye. See you later. Yeah. And just that weight alone is gone. Totally gone. You know, I thought I had super chats. I really did. But I don't know if that's something I have to turn on before I go live. I don't know much about this stuff. Really silly. Let me just see what's in here. No, yeah, I don't know. But thank you. I'll have to look into it or ask YouTube about that. Or it's like a super thanks or something like that. Hello, Steph. It's not there. I'll have to check the settings and stuff then when I'm done here. Thank you, guys. I always wondered about that. I see that in other people's stuff, and I'm like, I don't know if I have that. It's below the chat. I see the 3 dots, but I don't have that as an option on my end either. And I don't have a $sign on mine. I have a magic wand. I think it's something I have to turn on before I go live. Oh, wait, Steph just sent me one. Thank you, Steph. Thank you very much for the $9.99. So something's on because Steph just sent something. It's in as like a star or a heart. I really need to brush up, and as soon as I do learn stuff, it changes. So it's like constantly having to learn. Oh, how are you doing? So the first reading for us is talking about how our relationships are going to be changing. And we are coming up to the end of a class, a cycle within relationships to others. And so we're going to start to see things open up and shift and change. It's next to the chat where we're type. It's a $sign. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. All right, we have Ace of Pentacles. I love these cards. Anything else? Wow. Very Sagittarius. This fiery energy, that's that energy that's really giving us a boost in our confidence and just this will. That's where that restlessness is. So we have like this extra energy that's like yeah, go ahead, say it, do it, whatever it is. And then there's another energy behind it that's like linked to some of those parts inside of us that say, I don't know, that doesn't seem safe. So we have conflicting energy. But King of Wands is totally ready to, what's that? Thank you, Paula. Paula, you sent me RSD. I don't know what that is. That's interesting, though. If anybody knows what that is, thank you. Mwah, thank you. The King of Wands is, this is the energy where we have the courage to follow through with that not just those intuitive hits, but like the energy that's like, yeah, go ahead, do it. Send that resume. Yeah, do it, right? And it charged me the local amount for 10. That's so interesting. Thank you. Remember, Mercury is just about to retrograde, so Serbia. You crack me up. Oh, it does say 10 on my end, though. That's funny. So here's this power. Here's this energy, this courage, this will, this drive. It's like, yeah, let's go. I'm going to say it. I'm going to do it. That's overall. So that's actually the driving force here in this reading. Ace of Pentacles. New opportunity, something new to go for. And look at this card. It's got roots. It's already growing roots and it's sprouting. So there's a seed that is starting to grow roots. An opportunity that we may have forgot that we planted a seed a long time ago. These things, some of these things are totally coming back around. There are things that I'm seeing manifest that I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot I asked about that. I don't really want that anymore. Kind of thing. Hello, Serbia. You're in Belgrade expat. So something new, a new opportunity, and it's definitely something that lights our heart up. It's actually something that we're feeling in the heart. And this could just be in the relationship realm also. Now that I'm seeing the Ace of Cups, but it doesn't have to be. It is definitely... I'm feeling and sensing, like, I've had some new things creep up, and they are definitely tied to a passion of mine, tied to my heart, right? Oh, there's two Paulas. Hello. I see. From the other side of the pond. Oh, I thought it was all the same Paula. Oh my gosh, me and my eyes. Hi, thank you. I see now. Thank you so much, Paula. Six of Pentacles. There's more fairness here. There's fairness, equality, equal give and take. So whatever we are putting into something, it is actually giving back in the same manner. Because when you are actually working with something that you're passionate about, whether it be a person or just something, that is powerful energy. That is, and we are starting to experience these things really start to turn over and unfold. Now, I'm still getting that we have that little bit of a lag. You know how we've been in the in-between worlds, it seems like, and we still have a little bit of that in-betweenness, probably until January, but that's just around the corner, really. Thank you for the reading. Greatly appreciate it. You're welcome. And then we have the Hierophant. And this is just and I just love these cards. So the Hierophant is higher learning, is climbing those stairs to the light, to the infinite possibilities. But it's also, the Hierophant is about wisdom gained. It's about stripping away all of the beliefs that just are like keeping us stuck. The thoughts about ourselves, I'm not good enough. Who am I to do this? I'm not qualified, blah, 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 blah. When we strip that away and follow the fire within, have the courage to actually go for something, it actually manifests as an opportunity. Okay, let's go. Let's give it a try. And follow that passion. And it's like a little bit of a breadcrumb trail, but it'll start to open up and you'll start to sense, you'll feel, you're like, I think this is the beginning stages of something new for myself. We also can shut those things down when we're hit with fear, or we're not good enough. Self-confidence, self-esteem issues creep up. We start to either slow that energy down. We can self-sabotage a lot of times. But I see this time, let's get a little more on this because this is interesting. I see in this energy, and new moons are all about fresh new opportunities, new starts, right? We've come a long way, and we've gone through the ringer as far as the dark night of the soul, challenging our beliefs, trusting the unknown, all these scary things, because the outside still, mainstream status quo is operating in the same disgusting manner, actually. Sorry to say, it is not pretty to watch, but it is familiar and it seems safe to parts of ourselves. But I think we're at the place now where it's like, no, that's not safe. That's no longer familiar, and it's not any way I want to operate anymore. And so we're breaking out of that mold. We're breaking out of that box. And we have been for quite some time. And my guides keep telling me, we think here on Earth that once we have these epiphanies, that everything's going to change. And sometimes certain things do, like right away. But then there's the learning, there's the growth, there's the self-awareness and all of that. And we have to just keep going and learn about our energy, the ups and the downs, and how we have boundaries or don't have boundaries. So we've gone through all that. And we're at a place that's like, okay, 5-6 years have passed, and I can see the progress. I can see the change, but I still planted this seed very deeply. Each and every one of us have. When we first had our awakening, a very passionate seed that's been planted, and we have nurtured it. We've even begged and cried the universe of when is this going to happen? Please. That doesn't work, by the way. We've had to go through, it's like we couldn't skip grades. We're in school, right? Earth school. We couldn't skip all these grades. We had to go to class. We had to go to each grade. But we're getting to a point where we're graduating somewhere. And now it's another opportunity to really maybe face some of the seeds that have been planted in that very beginning point. Or is that for you? Is it something that you want? We are being guided and directed into our soul mission, whether we're aware of it or not. And a lot of times we cannot really predict these things. We can know in our heart what we love, what we are, and that's always a good indicator. If you enjoy it, if you love it, if it gives you the sense of empowerment, not in an egotistic, a power over, but just I feel really good about whatever it is with you. And if you're not sure what that is, you're still being shown where you feel confident inside, whether it is as a parent, whether it is as a mentor. There's so many different avenues that our souls will take us on, you know. I'm finding myself for the first time in my life, had no time before now. Good. Yeah. And, you know, we keep finding ourselves too. I think I've said that to myself many times, but then I'm always, if there's an underlying something, I'm like with where I'm at right now, I'm actually doing exactly what I didn't even predict it. It was predicted to me by another medium that I knew many, many, many years ago. And it was when I had dark hair, really short dark hair, and she said, "I see you with long white hair helping other people, counseling other people." And I was like, "What?" Huh? Me? It's crazy. Looking back 5-6 years ago, whoops. I was the people pleaser unintentionally. Oh yes, the Honda video, yes. Yeah, and it was around that time too. That was a crazy year for me. I have always been a lover, not a hater. Good. What was I going to say? I was going to say, oh, the people pleaser. Yeah. I think we all have that to some degree. And I see that very clearly in myself. And it's something that I've even been so consciously aware of, especially these last few years. And I'm really good at not letting that part take over, because it's still always going to be a part within you. That's the thing. That's the thing about parts work. And when you understand these parts, it's still going to be a part within you. But now you're going, when you do the work to understand that part and let that part of you know, like, trust me, we're not going to do that anymore, but thank you for, it's a protection mechanism. It's a protection mechanism from childhood abuse, childhood trauma. And when I say abuse, I don't say it lightly, but we've all gone through some form of abuse, whether not intentionally, but sometimes intentionally. And so having the awareness of having that part, that's sort of how we can manipulate the energy so that we don't get hurt also. There still are, I don't know this for a fact, but I've had certain people pop up into my memory. Like if I were to be face to face with them now, their energy is such a way that it mimics my father, who that's the parental figure for me that developed that people pleasing to begin with. And that's the challenge. Therein lies the challenge right there. So I'm curious to see if I'm going to come face to face with these types of energies or people again soon, because I feel like I will be, just to sort of see, like, how do I still stay in my sovereignty, or do I break out of that, and does the people pleaser part take over? Because it can take over, but we can be aware of it now, and then we can course correct from that point on, you know. Pleasing my mother first from very little. Yep. Boundaries now. Yep. And I think that for me, boundaries was really important. And it's very important until you really, really get deeply in touch with your parts and do parts work. Then you find that suddenly I don't need boundaries anymore, because I'm not attracting that energy into my life to have to contend with. And if I am, I have other parts within me now that are connected to my true self and my source self that are way more powerful than the energies that have tested us in our codependency patterns and other patterns like that. You know what I mean? So eventually we may get to, not right away because it's training wheels, get to a place where we don't even have to have boundaries. I mean, boundaries are important. Sure, you can set like, yeah, I mean, everybody's experience is different and unique. I think for the work that I'm going to be doing, it's going to be hard for me to set very strong boundaries with people, but there will have to be times, I'm sure. I'm sure the universe will be testing me. I'm sure. But boundaries are very important when you're going through the healing process. Well, we're always going through a healing, but when you're going through the intensive healing, and that goes in layers also. You got to heal first, the first veneer, and then that one comes off, and then there's the next veneer, and then that one comes off. So there's multiple ones. I just want to dive into this spread just a little bit more. Energetic boundaries, very important. But I feel like our energy is changing too. As it's shifting right now, it's still very new and vulnerable. So energetic boundaries are important. All right, this is really just, okay. Ooh. Wow. Okay. So as we continue to ascend, just meaning our vibration, our energetic vibration is shifting, the whole planet is. But as we do, and we're aware of that, and our awareness is expanding, especially with this Sagittarius energy, we become more confident in ourselves, more grounded. This is a card of warmth and of connection and of deep awareness. It's also a card of speaking truth from a place of compassion, from heart. And when we do, we will be delightfully surprised to see that we don't have to put up the same boundaries that we once did. Because this energy is so powerful that those who really want to test and challenge it will not. They can't. They're gonna run away. I've actually had people run away from my energy when I'm just very calm and in my heart. And they may have a little like schizo moment, and then they just disappear. And I'm like, yeah, I don't. Repelled. Thank you. Yes, it repels it because the light within us shines a light on what they are running away from internally. What they are, we all have that inner child, that inner light that's very sensitive, that's wounded, and their protector parts are, I can't protect from this. It's too strong. It's very intense. And I've been told that many times from people that I do know that they have such deep wounds that I've tried to help them get to them, and they just kind of they don't want to do the work. But they're like, like when I put it on me, it's your energy, it's too intense. And I'm like, I'm just being me. I'm just being me. Sorry. But hopefully one day, because it's also not only repelling, it's attractive, because their soul self knows this, you hold this light too. And if you can get in touch with these parts that are so wounded and hurt, you can reflect this light as well. And that light is I mean, think about it. Everything on this planet is designed, everything in the matrix, let's say, not everything, but most things that are mainstream are designed to keep us in fear, keep us in line, especially now that more light is coming onto the planet, more energy is coming onto the planet to help us hold this light stronger and stronger and stronger, because that is what's going to break us free. And that is the most powerful energy. When we are in the heart, most of the things are designed to keep us from doing that. And we've been conditioned and programmed since a very young age to believe these things. And that's what we've already broken free from. But now we're also seeing, like, you see how more and more light energy comes onto the planet, more and more fear-based events go off to really keep people stuck in that. Totally. So we have Temperance with the Ace of Cups. And so when we are connecting to our heart, we're connecting to things that we love, things that really bring that heart-centered energy to front and center, it's causing a great shift in energy within us, and not just within us. This is a chain reaction. It's a ripple effect, a domino effect. Just like the telepathy I was talking about. Those who are really strongly interconnected to us by these invisible lines are getting a dose of this. So it's like we are kind of, without being drugged and pulled down like we had in the past, this time we've got another big dose of this light energy that is I'm getting a couple things here. It's this energy it's entangled within our emotions, but it's powerful. It's to not be selfish is worse, so we become selfless and neglect ourselves. Now, I don't see that. I see this light as becoming very empowering and balancing. And it's doing it each, see the moon cycles there? I think we've had so many powerful moon cycles, one after the other after the other. And through those moon cycles, I mean, if you could see the charts of how everything is mapped out, like it's like sacred geometry, geometrically, intricately designed for this awakening, for this shift. And it's wow, it's really amazing. There's also this light. There's also another form of energy that's been coming on. And I don't know if it's like cosmic rays or it's almost like it's blue. This is like drinking the magic elixir. It's like the energy that's coming in and it's just kind of coating us and wow, I'm getting a lot of different visuals here, but there's waves of it. It's coming in waves. Look at all those waves. What we are taught as children. So, oh, yes. What we're taught as children. Well, and that's getting washed away. Thank you for bringing that up. We're getting all that washed out of us. It's a cleansing. It's cleansing all of the abuse and trauma that we have experienced as children that has formed this. It's almost like sticky black tar within us that was like it's taken us a while to untangle and open and change and shift and morph, but it's definitely doing its work for sure. I definitely feel the shift. Below the Hierophant, we have the Page of Inspiration. So on top of that, we have all these magical elements that are also coming online, more stronger, much stronger. And you see the cat, look at that black cat. It's got like its radar, it's got this energy waves around its head. I see that as telepathic communication as well. And this rainbow cloud. Have you seen the clouds? On any random day, have you looked up and seen like prisms or rainbows in the clouds, especially around the sun, but it can be in other areas too. There's a lot of magical elements that are coming onto this planet right now that are opening us up and activating the psychic senses, activating the intuitive senses, the energy, and it's also activating a lot of higher awareness and connection to our higher self, the angelic realms, the guides, and more. There's more. There's a lot more, and I've become more and more aware of the more that's surrounding us. That is more so now than ever. Not just surrounding us, but with us. There's some that are actually coming into form on the planet. I don't know if you ever come across like a person, someone, and you're just like, there's something different about this person. There's something about this person, and it's in the eyes. You can see it in the eyes. There's something about this person, their energy, their eyes, and it can go either way, right? But you just know that they're not quite from this planet. Your cat is your cat. Oh my, yes, so many things are not true from how we were raised. Absolutely. Cat had a buck deer in the backyard all alone today. Oh, wow. Yeah. You can see it in animals too. You can see, well, for example, there are many people, I've had these conversations with some people that I do work with, and their senses, as far as like, some people are seers, and once your sight is turned on, like your psychic sight, it's kind of shocking, but it's exciting at the same time. Others are, clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant, all the different senses, but like we're getting a taste of those different senses. And so you may have a sense of smell. You can smell things that aren't around you because there are other energies that are around, and most likely they are from our ancestral line. They're from our family members who have passed away. They're all coming into like, oh yay, we can come in. They're gonna see us, they're gonna hear us, they're gonna feel us, they're gonna smell us. I'm learning to listen more. Because overall we have the High Priestess at the bottom. And I love how this card is designed. The High Priestess is all of that within us, the psychic senses, the things that we incarnated on this planet with, but then it was shut down, it was shut off, and these things are coming back online. I see all these light codes around her as well. I'm always fascinated by these light codes. Have you ever come across somebody who can speak this light language, or there's art with these symbols and light codes? It's fascinating. So these things are coming online more and more and more for all of us to really assist us, because we've got a fire. We've got Sagittarius fire energy, and our senses are telling us things. And make sure to listen. Learning to listen more. Yes. Yeah, doesn't that blow your mind? It totally blows my mind. And, you know, in my younger years, like teenage, I was exposed to these things for a long time, and I didn't believe it. I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I was such a naysayer. It was crazy until all of my psychic senses turned on at the drop of a hat. It was like overnight. Bam. Bam. Suddenly I'm seeing things, I'm feeling things, I'm hearing things. And I was like, I think I need to get locked away somewhere. But then there was a support. It was right when both of my grandparents died. And I was reminded about when my dad came to me when he died, and they came to me and they spoke to me, and I couldn't deny it. I couldn't deny it anymore. It shifted me. It shifted everything. And then I was just fascinated. That was what the fire in me of like, I need to understand what this is, because it's taking over me, and I got to learn how to work with it so that I can communicate with it. So, and that's how I found the cards. The cards found me, really. They're like, well, here's a form of communication. Tons of number syncs in the last few weeks. Yes. Yeah, the numbers. I love it. I love it. For me, it's been numbers, but it's also been the birds. The birds are always talking to me, and giving me messages and warnings. Birds are also good messengers of what to pay attention to, what's coming up next, or what you might be walking into. And if you walk around and you see a bunch of crows, they're warning you to be mindful of your thoughts right now, what you're walking into, or what energy, what thoughts may take over you and take your energy down. I feel like I need to do a card from the Starseed Oracle, since we're speaking about all of this galactic stuff. Well, we're not even talking about it like it's galactic stuff, but it truly, I've been getting so many messages, and here we go again with the universe is funny. I get nervous about talking about what I'm exposed to when I'm all alone, because it seems so otherworldly. But at the same time, I'm reminded of experiences, messages I would get. I started this job in 2012. I started a job at a company, and I knew some people working there. I ended up like becoming friends with everybody working there. But anyway, I was in this space in the first couple years upstairs where it was more like open office space, and this one guy's phone ringtone was the Beastie Boys Intergalactic Planetary, and it would go off like every 10 minutes. So I would hear that song in my head over and over and over again. And this place of occupation happened to be the place where all my psychic senses opened up in 2018 or 2017 in a big way. And suddenly I had some experiences with communications from, I guess, what we would call ETs, but I don't really think they like to be called ETs, but it was just so bizarre, but so familiar, because it tied back in with experiences I had back when I was a teenager. And then I had people like the owner of the company talking to me about having an extraterrestrial experience and other things like that. I'm like, what is happening? People are opening up to me and telling me these things. And so I had to really open up to what was being communicated to me through people that you wouldn't expect. With no distractions. So have any of you had any of these sorts of experiences? And I've had other experiences too, mostly this year, the last 2 years. Mostly looking through my skylight, one time being out in my yard, and one time being in Sedona with my friends, so they all saw it. But we would see, and it's always the same thing. And it's not that, oh, I forget what it's called now. Elon Musk thing. It starts off as a very bright, what it looks like a star, but it's pulsating. And so it gets your attention and you stare at it and it starts pulsating and pulsating, and all of a sudden it goes straight up and disappears. I've seen that 4 or 5 times in the last 2 years. It's not the Starlink. Yeah, thank you. It's not the Starlink. It's bright and it was big, and then it shoots up and disappears. And so when I was in Sedona with Celeste and her daughter, we were outside and we all saw it, and I was like, see? And they were just like, whoa, what was that? No, have not seen that. I hear others speaking the blue light. Yeah, there's this woman, what's her name? Nancy Rebecca. She's a nurse, a registered nurse, but she's also, she's had like all of her senses turned on like 20 years ago. So she teaches like intuitive senses and things like that. She started having visitations from these blue beings, she calls them, and they give her instructions, and she's traveled around the world and she's had all these experiences, and it's really interesting to listen to her, and she has such a soothing voice and stuff. So you check her out. Nancy Rebecca, I believe her name is. Lots of Orion. Oh yeah, Orion is very, very very involved, very, very involved in all of this energy. So that's where Sirius is. Walking at all hours and seeing out the window. I wish that I had the I wish that I just don't have it in me to go walking at night when it's cold. Waking. You said waking at all hours. I thought you said walking. It would be nice to go out and outside, but I can see outside my skylight, so I'm like, it's nice and warm in here. Anyway, let's get a message from the Starseed Oracle. Yeah, so a lot of these, and that book that I lent you, Paula, it was 2018. I'm newly, freshly awoken and curious and guided to this store, this bookstore, or no, it was like a spiritual shop, but it had a bookstore part to it. And I'm just looking, and this book falls out of the bookshelf and into my hands. And I'm like, okay. And I open it up, and it was like speaking to me. And whatever the first line I read was something that had been going on in my head the night before. So it was like the sentence was like something that was like coming to me. So I was like, wow, okay, I got to read this book. And my mom had an experience like that too many years before, where she had a visitation. And it scared the shit out of her. And she she denied it for years. She told me about this a couple years ago, but she was like, get away. Like it freaked her out. And she saw this green screen, like this green rectangle, and it was like coming closer and closer to her. And I instantly, when she told me that, I'm like, you're supposed to be a channel, because she is. And she's like, so it said something to her. And a couple days later, she went to Florida to visit her mom, my grandmom. They were walking around the mall and she went into the bookstore. Same thing. A book fell out into her hands. Oh no, it was giving her this picture. And she said, I wish I could, it was a symbol. It was giving her a symbol. And she didn't know what the symbol meant. She really was trying to forget that even happened. Like I must have been having some kind of crisis, because my mom was a nurse. We were very scientific before. And she opened up the book and it was that symbol. And she was just like, whoa. And then she kept that to herself for like 20 years until I started coming out and talking about all my experiences. And then she told me. It's funny. We're a little slow. I think that all those intergalactic beings are just like, my God, would they just pay attention? You can't make it up. You cannot make this stuff up. I certainly would not want to make this stuff up. That is for sure. Okay. I'm getting a lot of chatter now. They have a very good sense of humor. All right, we have earthed. Learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. There we go. That's where we're at. We have to learn how to walk the earth, but not become part of what we were part of, the status quo, the matrix. And we're in that. That's what we're learning. That's what we have been learning. Let's read it from the book, though. This is a good one to end this reading with. Learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. The challenge for all souls having a human experience is to be in the world, but not of it. To realize they are souls having a human experience and be fully conscious of it. To have their soul fully embody their body. People's personalities tend to relate to either transcendence or immanence. Those who lean towards transcendence have a longing for the heavens and the metaphysical. They yearn for a personal experience with God and to be lost in the heavens. They're envious of the angels and are more comfortable praying and hanging out in the stars than on earth. Those who tend towards immanence have attached themselves more to earth and to their body. They spend more time thinking about things in this physical world rather than connecting with the heavens or their own mystical inner worlds. Being a fully embodied soul, having a human experience, means finding the balance between transcendence and immanence, being in the world but not of it. Most starseeds are drawn towards transcendence. They're more comfortable with the angels and the heavens. Life on earth can be more difficult for them. If this is you, you're being reminded that you chose to be a soul in a body on earth. And if you're being called to focus more on more of your energies in the physical world, and you're being called to focus more of your energies in the physical world, to learn how to be human, a soul in a human body, fully present to what life on earth has to offer you. And I think that's the important thing, because we all have had those experiences, and it's okay when we do have those experiences where we do kind of get taken by Neptune or other energies into other realms. And I think that we're learning that we can be taken into those other realms, but we can retrieve messages and lessons and other gifts and experiences and bring them back to earth, to the ground. We can walk this earth with new eyes and new ears and new senses and be comfortable in that. And I think that we're getting that training right now to be comfortable in the world in this way, in a new way. This is our original state, but like we were saying, we were trained, we were programmed, we were conditioned by our societies, by the world, by our families, generation after generation, to see the world and see ourselves and see life in a certain way. But we know better now. We we see all that is false. We see not only all that's false, but we see the manipulation. We see the intent behind it. And instead of getting angry about it, I used to be really angry about it at first, because it's a normal reaction to be like, oh my God. But to have compassion for those who are stuck there, for those who are still there. I don't want to say stuck, because I was once stuck there too. So were you. We all were. And this is a new paradigm. This world is changing, and so are we. And it's important to embrace this newness, embrace all of this new awareness, new experience, new sensory stuff, and open up to like what new possibilities could actually come our way, to have an earthly experience that is also not of this earth, so to say. So that's what I have for us all. Oh, hi, Martin. 12, the number 1 of the eternal student. Happy new moon in Sag. Happy new moon in Sag. This is great energy. I love Sagittarius energy. It's probably, I used to have a bad taste in my mouth for this time of year because of the commercialism, and because of I see and feel all of the pain and sadness for those who are going through. And I probably went through some really challenging things during the holidays and stuff. Not probably, I did. But I'm in a different place now where I'm like, I'm embracing this energy. I really am loving this energy and want to really share some of it. I want to like spread it. I get that whole spread the love, spread the light. I feel that. I know you caught the end. Well, I will post this too. So we did a couple readings. They were really good too. And I felt those. I feel the change. I feel the shift. I feel the new opportunities. And not to fear, don't fear this Mercury retrograde either. I don't think that we will fear it, but some people are like, it's funny when things go wacky, but I don't really get upset by it anymore. So embrace this time to go within, and when called to, and also embrace this time to go without, to see and experience life in this new energy, because it is pretty magical. It's really magical. And the loneliness, it will subside. I feel like a lot of the readings I've been doing and a lot of the conversations I've been having with others who are readers and mystics, we're all kind of feeling and sensing the same thing. We have to. It's not that it's important that we start to come together physically and energetically and emotionally, and certainly electronically for all of us that are spread across the world, but when we meet people of resonance near where we live, we're going to start to really collaborate and connect the dots, I'm hearing. But that energy combined is powerful. And I think a lot of the forces have been really trying to keep us separate because of the power of that energy. We can collectively, maybe we should do this. Maybe I'll come back on tomorrow. When you collectively, with intent, come together and put out, and we could just do this right now too, put out with intent, peace and harmony and love through the world. The more of us combine doing that at the same time, even, it truly is powerful. It's been scientifically documented that that does create great change in the energetic field. Magnetic, yes. Is it 121? I love it. I love it. Yeah, and interesting that this new moon is on 12/12 too. And I think today, I'm not sure, but it feels like there's something going on with the star system in Orion. I feel like there's something that's going on there, and it brings us back to 4 years ago. I feel like we are clearing up a 4-year lesson cycle thing. So if you can reflect back on this time of year 4 years ago, and I actually went back in my photos to see, and it kind of makes sense for me how that's sort of wrapping up and pushing us into something new. Oh, I love having you guys all here. Yes, 2019. And there was a lot of stuff. So 2019, oh, you weren't on here when I did the last live. Yeah, we were talking about, that's right. I said that we all kind of went down a rabbit hole, maybe multiple, but we went into a direction, and it definitely has to do with the planet, and I don't have them all, but it definitely has to do with Neptune, the planetary alignments, and those star systems in Orion. And now 4 years later, it's like everything's kind of clicked into place, and it's like this big shift. So whatever started in 2019, that took us into probably a dark night or a lot of fear-based, because that's like right before COVID, the COVID outbreak happened, I think around 2019. That's when I started getting intuitive hits about COVID, because I went to that concert and they were talking about Corona. There were so many signs and messages that were coming to me that if I would have known, and when it happened, I'm like, oh my God, this is what you were talking about. I didn't know what I was picking up. I didn't understand exactly what I was picking up at the time. And that's kind of what happens when I get messages through symbology and through words. But it all kind of makes sense now. Pesky Neptune. Neptune's very spiritual, though. Neptune is connected to the etheric realms. It's just that it can really take you into a rabbit hole at times. There's something else going on with Chiron, too. And I'll have to dig a little bit deeper to kind of understand that. But this is a very healing time. And to see how far we've come since 2019, individually and collectively. And you can see that that was an opportunity for the masses, the world collectively, shortly after that, to really change our ways of relating to each other and care and compassion. When everything did shut down, and the world got quiet, people had time to really go in and reflect. And most people that I talk to, and even just random strangers, would tell me COVID was one of the best things that ever happened to them, because they They changed their jobs. They left bad relationships. They got to know themselves a lot more. It was wild how many people told me that. I got a bone to pick with Neptune. Yes, White Rabbit. There is actually, I think there's a star called Rabbit, White Rabbit, or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, so I can't say that everything is going to be like amazing on the world stage. I think we still have a few years to go before we really see a giant shift, at least astrologically speaking. But hopefully we don't have to have another crisis to really change humanity. But we have an opportunity to individually change. The more of us that do this, take this shift serious, take this shift serious and work with it, the better, because we're going to be needed by others in the future. And that's why we're here. That's really, truly why we're here. To hold that light, to hold that space, to hold that compassion. Because it is quite a roller coaster ride for sure, you know. In the rush to return to normal, make sure you reassess what is normal. Yeah, there is no normal. Neptune delivers waves. That's right. When you think about the symbol of Neptune, it's like two antennae. It's like it's like picking up the waves, or the radio waves, or the frequency. That's our antenna, or picking up these new frequency, these new waves of frequency. And we sure are. If you have your ears are ringing, I know that there's all these different, everybody has their own theory on these things, but what I have been given by my guides and by the communication that I get is that there are always new, because there are energies and bodies of energies, entities, frequencies that are far apart, but highly, I guess you could call it, if you look at dimensions, it's like past the 12th dimension. But we're picking up on that now as these different pitches and frequencies in our ears. And it's, yes. Or maybe I'm thinking, did you just get your book? Oh, I did mention waves in that emotion card. It is, you know what, Steph? I took this whole weekend to myself and really did some of that. There's different exercises in that book that you can do with yourself to really get in touch with these parts. And it's so worth doing. Even if you're doing it, it will carry on. Like when I put the book down, then it was like more memories and things. I have like blocks of my life when I was a child that I have absolutely no memory of, absolutely none. And they started to filter through and it started to make more sense. And I was picking up so much. Like you're gonna really get a lot. EMF tower, yeah, well, we're picking up on that stuff too, for sure. For sure. Although, you know what? I remember when they put a tower up just up the road from me, the 5G tower, and it was last year or 2 years ago. And I didn't know it at the time, but I started having all of these weird things happen to my body and I was having all these weird, just energetic experiences. And it was right when that tower went up and started operating, and it was horrible. I don't feel it anymore, but when it first started, oh my God, it would take me down. I'm not one to get headaches. I would have like migraine headaches and rashes and like all of this weirdness was happening. I like the sound of that book. I will look for the best price. It's a really good book. It's very affordable. I think I paid like $14 US here for it. Smart meters in the cells of the body. Yeah, you think about it. Our cells, everything pick up everything. So back to this book, actually, he speaks about like we all were taught to think that we have just like one mind, a mono mind, he calls it. It's not. When science is changing slowly but surely, but understanding that there's an ecology and everything works together, and it's not just one single cell or one single thing. It's never one, but everything has to work together. This is the internal family systems. IFS is your internal family, all your parts. And so you can't get rid of any of them. We have parts of ourselves that have been exiled that we need to bring back and have our internal family all get along. That's why, sometimes we're like, part of me wants to go here and part of me doesn't. Well, then listen to the part that doesn't and ask it why, and come to some kind of conclusion so that both of your parts are not fighting like internal battles. And my cat is doing some weird things now. So she picks up a lot of energy shifts too, and she'll start chasing her tail and running around and gets the zoomies, That's always fun to watch. But I feel like, what was I going to say? Our bodies are adapting to these artificial energies. It takes a little while. But we still have to be smart with what we consume and what we put into our bodies. I know food is being poisoned. I mean, they're all trying to kill us, but we're still standing. We're still here. I'll probably get kicked off of YouTube for saying all this stuff. Oh yes, the heart. Yeah, my daughter-in-law was in the emergency room last week for a mystery. She calls it a mystery thing because she couldn't breathe, and her heart was doing weird things, and she couldn't even speak. It's like the energy caught her, and they did all these tests. They tested for all the viruses, and they did an EKG and all these other things on her, and could not find anything. And I'm just like, it was right when we had that big blast from the sun, big giant blast from the sun. She's okay now, but it was scary for her to go through and to not find anything through at the hospital. I mean, they did all the tests. They did everything. Yeah, and she's all better now. But it's, we get impacted big time by this stuff, big time. The nervous system and the cardiovascular system is what the sun, the solar weather will really, really affect in the human body, in the system. Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you guys all for being here and all these gatherings. I love it. And thank you for all the super chats or super thanks or whatever they are called. I really greatly appreciate it. I really do. I love doing these lives. I love engaging and interacting with all of you guys because, we're not alone, but we are all kind of spread across the world, but we can, I do know and I always say these things and then time gets a hold of me, but my intention for the new year is to beef up my system a little bit, and I think I'm going to purchase the Zoom thing so that I can have like Zoom interactions and see your faces and things like that. I have all these ideas since I've been doing a lot of creative work for my brother-in-law. I've discovered some newer programs and things that are actually a lot of fun to work with. So I hope to have that up and running in the beginning of the new year, because I really feel the importance of connection and collaboration, and even just talking with each other about what we're experiencing, what we're going through, and because it's, you know, it's important. I feel like it's really, really important for all of us. And I would love to see all of your faces. Definitely, yes. And thank you, Paula, and thank you, Paula, and all of you. I love you guys. So have a good rest of your night or your day or whatever time it is where you are. Yes, and Granny Paula is so close to me, so we get to see each other in person. And we have to do that soon. So sending you guys all so much love. Have a great night or day, whatever it is at where you are. Mwah.